Ai Weiwei is China's most politically outspoken artist.
你这叫什么逻辑？作为公安来说，这个人没罪，关了他再去了解他情况。
If you question about the communist authority, or if you're questioning basic human rights, then you're not free.
His work is admired and acclaimed throughout the world. And he designed this in his spare time. The Bird's Nest Olympic Stadium in Beijing. His new work, especially created for Tate Modern, was 2.5 years in the making. It took 1,600 people to produce 100 million handcrafted sunflower seeds, fashioned from the finest Chinese porcelain and spread across the floor of the Turbine Hall. In tonight's Imagine, we meet a man pioneering in his art and fearless in his politics.
Ai Weiwei is, to my mind, the most significant Chinese artist that certainly we are aware of in the West. He's articulate, he's passionate, he goes to the edge, he's unafraid of criticizing the politics and the situation in his own country, nor indeed is he afraid of criticizing Western capitalism in some way either. He is a unique figure.
He's not only an artist, he's not only a scholar, he's a photographer. He designs clothes. He's a specialist in precious stones. He's an antique furniture dealer. He is an architect. He's a landscape architect. I mean, the list is endless.
There's a reason why there's not very many people like Ai Weiwei in China, and the reason is that it's very risky.
At his studio in Beijing, Ai Weiwei spends much of his day on Twitter, a website banned in China. Before it was shut down by the Chinese authorities, his previous blog was followed by hundreds of thousands. In a country where his views are rarely published, it gives him a vital cultural space to exchange ideas, and it's raised his profile with a growing fan base.
要不要也来一张？要，他都受我影响才喜欢。我还上那照出来照了2张。再见啊！再见。再见啊！再见。其实您挺普通的，没有我想象那么高的。再见，拜拜。
So this set is marble works on the, it's the kind of camera they put on in front of my door by undercover police. So they're really monitoring my activity, tap my telephone. Whatever we say, they know it. And they check on my banking activities and sometimes follows me. I think it's kind of intimidating me. We see this kind of camera everywhere now. So I think this is a really very important object of our time. I see many people, other people who had much less activities are being put away and sentenced. And also some people who relate to me also being put in jail. So if you think about it, you all lost your sleep. It's kind of terrifying.
Since I was denied permission from the Chinese government to interview Ai Weiwei in Beijing, I had no alternative but to use his favoured medium, the internet, until we could eventually meet in London.
It's very nice to meet you.
you know, I wanted to come, but I couldn't come. There was...
Yes.
You're used to communicating in this way, I take it.
I start to in love with this kind of meetings.
Because this is the way to express yourself freely in a way that you couldn't otherwise, or you're not personally able to do.
Yes, in many cases, this is the only way, only channel. And it can really express yourself clearly and very direct.
Is that expression, that ability to express yourself, an important part of who you are and what you have been all your life as an artist?
Yes, I realize this is a core value for artists, to fight for your rights and to clearly express who you are, and to again and again to emphasize on that.
Ai Weiwei has always been outspoken, but a recent project put him in direct confrontation with the government. An earthquake in the Sichuan province in 2008 caused many school buildings to collapse, resulting in the death of thousands of children. In response, Ai Weiwei made a work from 9,000 children's rucksacks, covering the entire facade of the Museum of Art in Munich. It spelt out the heartfelt words of one grieving mother whose child was killed in the earthquake. She lived happily in this world for 7 years.
In that earthquake, about 100,000 people disappeared. So we realized the government trying not to telling people who is disappeared and for what reason.
Hundreds of schools collapsed while the surrounding buildings remained standing, which convinced many people that the schools hadn't been properly constructed.
In the ruins there were only school bags left, and sometimes even names were withdrawn from these school bags, from these children's school bags. And of course the young victims got buried immediately without the parents having the chance anyway to identify. So Ai Weiwei took up action, and very simple, he wanted to have names.
This chart we put on the wall is the names of those students who died in this earthquake. Those information has been considered as a state secret and never given out.
He asked followers of his blog to choose one name each and read it out.
张子豪、
李永超、
李十月、
向锦瑜、
曾海涛、
欧阳青青、
李龙俊、
朱吉。
So gradually it generates too much heat, and the government cannot bear with it, so they shut off my blog.
One campaigner, Tam Zuran, was arrested, charged with revealing state secrets. During the trial, Ai Weiwei traveled to Chengdu to testify in his defense, and as ever, documented his experiences.
我和公民调查在过去的8个月当中做了大量的工作，掌握着大量的事实。我相信我们的作证会证实他做人是无辜的。谁啊？警察？什么警察？对，他们已经碰面而入了。干嘛？你干嘛？我不干嘛？是你打人是吧？叫我开门，我不让你谁呀？我打人，打了我。谁打的？谁看见了？做警察证明谁打的？谁打的你？
About 3,000 police just rushed into this hotel and kicked down the door very violently. And we had an argument, I asked them to show me their badge and for what reason they come to the hotel. They beat me. They locked us in the hotel until the court finished.
After the encounter, Ai Weiwei was suffering from severe headaches, but travelled to Germany for the opening of a major new exhibition of his work.
The very moment he arrived in Munich, he had such a headache that we decided to have him checked out, and he stayed in the hospital after for about 2 weeks and a half.
The doctor said you have to stay and do the operation right away because this is very dangerous. You have blood in your,
your brain.
Yeah, and later the doctor told me if he didn't do it immediately, I may just die.
Today at his studio, Ai Weiwei examines some newly finished works. His interest in the cultural traditions of China has led him to explore the use of ceramic in his artwork. But for Ai Weiwei, creation and destruction go hand in hand.
It's not good. I mean, still feel very painful, but still come to a point you just have to do it, you know. It's more like a self-punishing to really perform with some kind of standard. Yeah, it is. The whole process is very frustrating.
Born in 1957, Ai Weiwei grew up during a turbulent period in China's political history. The Cultural Revolution that began in the mid-60s was the name given to Mao Zedong's attempt to impose his vision of a classless society and to eliminate all those he suspected of undermining his authority. He singled out enemies such as landlords, counter-revolutionaries, rightists, foreign agents, capitalists, and intellectuals. Millions were forced into manual labor and tens of thousands executed.
Anything has traces about the past or has sentiment about the past has to be destroyed. Chairman Mao had a slogan about we can destroy old world and we can also build a new world. But build a new world has to be based on destroy the old world. So it's almost like a black and white situation.
Ai Weiwei was born the same year that his father became the target for this intense political campaign. And so his entire life was defined by his father's persecution.
Ai Weiwei's father, Ai Qing, was a distinguished revolutionary poet and a member of the Communist Party. He advised Mao on literary policy and wrote a poem that praised him. But his devotion to the party was called into question in 1956 when he wrote The Gardener's Dream, a short work of allegorical prose that told the story of a rose gardener who realized he was discriminating against other flowers. Despite its subtle theme, the work was seen as counter-revolutionary. Ai Qing was stripped of his titles and sent into exile with his family to a remote region of China at the edge of the Gobi Desert.